November 10th, 2012, O'Keefe's Port of Hamburg, South Howell Avenue, Milwaukee. After Dan Lozzi's appearance at Hardcore for Hunger 5, I had a chance to talk to both Richard Brophy, band member and promoter, and Zakk C., organizer, about their innovative ideas and approach to activism. Today, we have with us Richard Brophy, who is a musician and a self-proclaimed promoter.
Yes.
Who has, as we learned in a previous interview, was the person who actually gave Dan Lozzi his start.
Yes.
And we are also privileged to have Zakk, and I don't know your whole name.
Zakk Z is fine.
Zakk Z, and you are also in a band.
Yes, NSOA.
NSOA. And you also know Dan Lozzi and gave him an opportunity to speak, or you gave him a platform. So I think that one of the things that's interesting is how the heck did you end up with Dan Lozzi, of all people?
We played a show down in Springfield, and he was a part of that show.
Okay.
And that's when we met, exchanged contacts. Then last April, was that last April?
Yes.
Last April he was coming up here, and we were already on tour.
Well.
So at the time my wife Anna was working at Brood Cafe, and he was looking for a date, and we were able to pull that off. So
that's how he got here then, his Brood Cafe.
That was the first time I helped him with the show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So a little bit before we started the interview, you were kind of talking about the fact that you have kind of a fascination with the spoken word. It's something that intrigues and interests you.
I enjoy it. Yep.
And you feel that your audience is also equally intrigued and entertained by this.
Yeah, I don't think spoken word in hardcore is anything new, though. I mean, so it's always been there. It's just no one knew it's coming. It's been like fucking Henry Rollins for the last fucking 35 fucking 40 years. Sorry.
That's okay.
35 years, 40 years, whatever, you know, so it's like, I think it's great to hear someone new, you know.
Did you say fornication?
Yes, he used the
twice.
Word. Oh, good Lord.
Just like a sailor.
It's okay.
But
it's okay.
I think it's great to hear someone new because, you know, you can only hear, you know, one guy's opinion so much. You know?
Had you heard Logic before speak? He did a little bit. I heard some of his.
Yeah, he actually did a show with us in Springfield as well, which is where...
He's from Decanter, I believe. He's from No Victims.
Yeah, from Springfield.
No More Victims.
No More Victims.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where No More Victims is centered, is Springfield, Illinois. But on that April tour that we did, when Dan came up here, we were down in Springfield the night before he played up here, and No More Victims had opened that show as well. So.
Okay. So when you tour with your band, do you have people that you can contact locally, or you try to bring people that you've heard with you? How do you do this?
Sometimes we go out alone. We have toured with like DRI and MOD and Raw Power and stuff, but we were on Warped Tour and shit in '96. But like independently, we do it like most everything is independent. We've been like a DIY band since we started. So it's like...
And you said you've been doing this about 20 years?
I started this band, not like...
in its incarnation currently.
I'm not like a guy that's been in 50 bands throughout the 20 years. This band has existed since... Jesus, I'm an old man. 1989 is when this band officially started as a band, and then in 1994 is when we released our first
CD?
First release, yeah.
Okay.
It was a CD. Well, at first it was a tape, and then it was a CD.
So an EP, I think, or something of that sort?
It was 6 songs or whatever, but... At that time, it was like all grunge here in Milwaukee. There's never like, I don't want to say it. I love Milwaukee, so it's like
Well, you have to say, you
I
have
already
to tell the truth.
I kind of have a bad reputation in Milwaukee, in my opinion, just because I do say too much. But
Well, chances are other people know the truth as well.
oh yeah, for sure they know the truth. But like, I don't know. Back when we started, you know, a lot of the old school guys that like were doing underground bands, and I'm not knocking them. You know, my roots are my roots, and I love, you know, all the musicians that I've watched as a kid, and all the bands I played with have inspired me throughout. You know, I mean, it's impossible not to be inspired by the people around me.
Sure.
So, you know, I'm not knocking anybody, but when like the grunge scene hit, all those bands kind of bailed on the new bands. So we kind of had to pick up the pieces, and like Milwaukee is so into like commercial crap that when we lost that kind of, you know, the root of the people that started it in at least in Milwaukee, not started it,
But
period.
started the scene here.
Right.
Designated vibe.
Kinda, right. They were kind of decided they were done. I don't know if like, well, I'm sure a lot of people went through shit. You know, I know like we've lost so many people through the last 20 years, but I felt like, you know, when we started, a lot of those bands were just done, and it was like trying to find a new heavy bands was like impossible when everybody was trying to be hippies and shit. So it was like we had no choice but to do it ourselves, you know. Find a basement, rent a hall, do something, we used to put up ads before the internet, you know. We used to have to put up like
posters,
your ad on the billboard in whatever store, and
but you've always had
look for other bands and try to get, you know.
You've always had the audience though.
Like
the audience has never left you. It just got to be harder to contact them.
Well,
or do you think that the audience left you?
I don't know. I think that the scene has gone through very strong times, and then like people grow up and people move on and people start to hate each other, and their friendship wasn't as strong as their pill addiction or whatever the hell makes them lose their mind and not talk to anybody anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when that group of kids hits 21 or 22 and they find like they get drunk and whatever, they find out life isn't living at home anymore.
Right.
You know, so like their values change and the things inside them change, or maybe they start coming to shows and they're beating up people, or they're the ones getting beat up. You know, it's like things like that ruin the heart of everything, you know.
Sure.
Like you can go like 2 years and everybody's real strong and real tight and everybody knows everyone at the shows, and then all of a sudden like 2 people start not talking, and then it's like 10 people don't talk to each other anymore, and then it's like those 10 people don't come to that side of town for the shows anymore, and now they only go to this clique, you know, so everybody goes into their own clique. And that's like where Milwaukee is right now. There's the east side clique, and there's the north side clique, and there's like, you know, the straight edge clique and the skinhead clique and whatever, and then there's like the metal clique, and then there's like us that want like what we had, where it didn't matter if you were skinhead, straight edge, metalhead, punk rock. It never mattered until like 2000 hit. Then all of a sudden it was like this fashion show or whatever. But I don't know.
But you stayed true through all of this. You stayed true.
I stayed true to myself. I don't know. Maybe a part of me doesn't really care to believe anymore. Maybe, you know, I mean, I'm bitter and fucking angry too, so it's like
but then how do you get Dan to come?
It's very easy for me to feel like, you know, if I'm abandoned, you know, this is the thing I thought was something that, you know, anybody was supposed to be able to come to an underground show. Anybody. It didn't matter. You know, there were people here that have never gone to a show like this tonight, ever in their lives.
Yeah, this was fascinating for me.
It's like, there was a time when that was the idea. It didn't matter. You could all come and not get fucked with. But now it's like people that don't have an identity come and cling to people that do have identities is the problem. So this type of person gravitates towards the kid that dresses like a skinhead. He might not know what the fuck a skinhead is or what it means, and he probably walks the fence between, do I hate ethnic people or am I just a skinhead working class guy? You know, so that group all of a sudden gets a little bigger because all of a sudden these kids are turned on to this new thing they never knew. Right? So they cling on to that, and then all of a sudden that group turns into whatever. And I'm not trying to single out the skinheads or nothing.
No.
Because the same thing happens when, you know, the grunge kid that only listened to Korn came to the punk show and saw the kid with spiky hair and was like, oh, now I'm going to be a punk. And now I know everything about punk. So, you know, he never had a past. He was just punk.
But you're staying true. You, the band, is staying true. You're going around. You're touring.
We're not trying to be anything we're not. We're just playing.
But now you're bringing this form of spoken word, which, and we had talked a little bit. You're not comfortable with the word activist, but you are actually empowering people to open their own minds to new ideas, and also a whole different avenue to connect to each other. And who knows, I mean, this sounds very far-fetched, but maybe even enact a change. So what you're doing really is kind of remarkable, especially since you're telling me you're feeling a little bit disenfranchised.
Well, for sure.
But here you are yet.
By our own people is the problem.
And yet here you are offering hope to hopefully the other people will come back and
because
new people.
I'm not the only one. All these bands that are playing tonight are all treated like shit by the people that say they're like the people that will step up and be like, hell yeah, I run the scene. You know, I ain't comfortable with you saying anything even close like when we started this. You know, that's not my thing. I'm not a scenester. I'm not in it for points. Our band has never been in it for like fame. The name of the band is New Society of Anarchists. That is not going to sell Old Navy clothes, you know. So it's like our whole intention is clearly not to be like this sellout band that's going to be like a 5-year fuck, you know, whatever.
Right. So then
it's a dedication. My brother's in this band. You know, the kid we got playing. Well, he ain't a kid anymore, but. The man that we have playing drums, he's been with us over 15 years.
So I think I can say then that you're being true to your roots and true to what you believe in, and you're bringing someone like Dan Lozzi in. And I can't imagine how many other people that I haven't even heard of. So you are really creating an opportunity for someone like me or someone who hasn't ever seen this before to have all kinds of, I mean, I love the music, the energy,
But it's nice to have something else too.
Well,
right?
sure.
You know, and it's like.
Sure. I like all kinds of
positive.
things.
He's not like up there, dude, dick, fuck, cunt, you know.
Right, but so the other thing is too is that
he's not up there being a jerk. He's up there telling people like, you know, don't be afraid to be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's like so hard to tell people nowadays because no one wants to be themselves right now.
That's a very good point.
Everybody wants to blend in and be the next blended in thing, you know, whatever.
the next best blended.
Just the next shadow, you know, next to the next shadow. It's
and
like,
Rick, you find the same. You find the same kind of resistance.
I find a lot of the same in our area. Where, like I said in the last interview that you did recently, when you interviewed Dan, Dan gave a big point with me. Everybody has their cross to bear in life, you know. And hardcore should be a place where it does, you know, everybody should be accepted. And if someone has a problem, you should find out why they have that problem, rather than automatically
just be a bloodbath.
Yes,
right.
blacklist them and tell them, you know, you said this, you did that. Right. I mean, there's a lot of people in my area that if they went through the things that there's a good portion of us that have gone through, they'd honestly probably just throw in the towel and wave the red flag and just
You can relate to
you
that.
know,
Definitely
hit
can relate to that.
hit the suicide boat, you know. But the rest of us keep cruising on because the whole movement and scene that I've started to build and that has actually been building up does well. We actually have 5-6 bands play. We've got a lot of friends out of state, you know, going from the East Coast to the West Coast, the Midwest, the South. You know, doesn't matter where it may be. I have people from England, Germany, and Belgium, and France calling me for shows now.
Wow.
Telling me they're planning ahead. You know, okay, in a year from now, we're going to need, you know, a gig. And I just honestly think that our scene would do a lot better if more people work together rather than, you know, say, all right, well, this is who I am, and I want to be somebody. I'm going to sit at the cool kids table. You know, I need to, you know, hang out with this guy in order to be someone. And then people get confused. Oh, well, these are my friends, and, you know.
Let me ask you.
Anymore.
Exactly.
Ain't wearing the same hat.
Let me ask you about that, because I did not notice there was a lot of merchandising going on in this show. Now, I'm going to guess, of course, that you guys have your...
A lot of people broke a lot of stuff down.
Oh, okay, because I did not...
No More Victims had tons of...
Well, but those are... They're not a band. You know what I'm saying? But the bands, I don't...
DUIs had a lot of merch.
Oh, they did?
When it comes to a band, yes.
We got a 7-inch that just came out today.
Okay.
And
Zakk's band has a good portion of stuff. He has something for everybody.
Okay.
He's got profanity shirts for those, you know, who are older, and he has stuff that even kids can wear. That's good about being diverse.
Shirts that say "Rick won't book my band."
And I wear one of those.
No, absolutely. Anytime they come through Massachusetts, I'm the dude who's pulling them.
Okay.
It's the same with Pound
And you're
for
taking
Pound.
them over to Germany with you.
Yeah.
And I understand
We're
there's
going to
quite a
Germany?
culture in Germany that this is very popular music in some parts overseas. Punk
Yes.
rock and the whole
Right.
political
Good Lord.
statement,
Exactly.
very much so.
That's
Very
what
much
she
so.
means. Like,
There's no unity in the States. Everyone's spoiled, and you know.
Well, yeah, the commercialism. This is not a venue that promotes commercialism.
I think overseas, the culture remains. You know, it's the idea of underground music being more than just underground music. It's a way of life. It's a culture of life. It's not.
You're right.
It's, you know, it's not just the music and the spoken word and the art and the tattoos and all the stuff that goes with it. It's all a bigger picture. It's a culture. And when, you know,
So are you saying
we're
that
in the Midwest, so like, you know, they're from out east, and in my opinion, you know, that's like very much like the root.
Sure, our
I mean,
13
aside
colonies, I
from,
get it.
I'm sorry, but I just want to say this because
yes.
you know, I am just a dumb Midwestern boy, and only seen like stupid hardcore documentaries that I can't stand them, but I love to see live music and shit. And like, I just want to say, from a Midwesterner to an East Coaster.
And this isn't going to be secret, just so you know.
This ain't gonna be secret, but like MC5 and Iggy Pop and stuff.
Kick out the jams, yeah.
They're from the Midwest, so
Yeah, exactly.
The Virachis from the Midwest too, homie.
And that's something we agree
But my
about.
point is, without those bands, there'd be no Ramones.
There wouldn't be.
Yeah.
You're right. There
So
wouldn't
it's
be.
from the Midwest. You said it. Yeah.
Yes. See,
Nah, I'm just fucking.
there's places like the tri-state
You know
area,
what
like
I'm saying? No,
you
it's
have
like-
Pennsylvania in New Jersey. You've got bands like Bottom Feeder, Lifeless, Anguish, Sicker Than Most, like represent. Then you got Ohio and Indiana, like Hammerfist, not Hammer, Silverhammer.
And do you know these bands?
Hammerfist is from California.
Some of
but
these
Some of them? Okay.
Not,
have the-
not
you
on
know,
a personal level. But
Right, but you've heard of
Crowd
them.
Life After Death, all these bands that are tearing it up in the Midwest, you know, in the Northwest, like the Northwest, the West Coast, and then you have the East Coast, and it's like, okay, we have to depend on New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania.
I was going to say the East Coast is a
to
little
hold it
clicky.
down. Yes, it
and
is.
It always has been a little clicky.
Yes, and
So
then you
it's
have
the
like
same
Maryland,
everywhere.
which
So
is
it's-
awesome. Which you got Stout. Stout is probably one of the best bands. And like I mentioned before, another band that always gets shit on. Strength for a Reason. One of the heaviest, most loyal, down-home hardcore bands that it's like if they play up in our area, there's like 40 kids inside watching them, and the other like 75, 80 are outside, smoking cigarettes on their phone. There's just a lot of disrespect in New England for hardcore. There really is, unless it's a DIY, like someone books their own thing with their own friends, and then bands that are really hungry that want to do it for the right reasons rather than, okay, we're a band, we always want to go in the middle, which is the worst. Any band that says, okay, cool, can we go third? It's like every band wants to go third. Okay, how about every band on the show set up and you put, animatronics on stage,
right,
or dummies, and just switch the t-shirts every half hour,
okay. That's
and
terrible, Rick.
Set up every band in the middle of the floor and have them go third. It's going to sound terrible because you're going to have like 15 guitars, probably about 14 or 18 basses, depending,
But
terrible.
Now, from a promoter's perspective, every band wanting to play third. I mean, yeah.
Well,
but I mean, from a band's perspective, no kidding, because it's not the way it used to be, where the kids came out to the basement and stayed
right.
until the show was over.
You're right.
And all had a good time.
You're right.
Now it's like, these 10 kids watch this band, leave. These 10 kids come in, leave.
That's interesting.
They all like the same kind of bands, but they don't like each other.
Wow.
It's stupidity. It's honestly like blatant disrespect.
So Dan speaks against this.
Dan, here's a normal show for me. The New Jacks and the Up and Comers are the first two bands, okay? Or the bands that drive from 45 minutes away, which is honestly, right down the street, and then bring their girlfriends, and their girlfriends want to get in, they give the, guy collecting money or the bouncer a hard time. And then you got like, oh, well, I'm the merch guy that comes to the bands. Okay, that's why I went first. Like boom and boom. And then you get your strongest local to headline. And then in between there are all the bands that drove the furthest or the bands that are on tour that are getting paid. So the first two bands, and the last band, that makes 3 bands total.
Okay.
That's what we got. They're all locals.
Right.
Then you get 4 bands in between.
Right.
That's a 7-band show for $10.
Oh my gosh.
The bands in between.
What a deal.
Yeah.
What a deal.
Exactly.
That's a whole day.
Well, a lot of kids look at it, I could,
Wow.
Exactly. A lot.
So it was supposed to be 10 bands that played.
So you agreed then with everything Rick is saying, Zakk, that this is how you do it.
It should, when you're touring, the bands that are traveling need to be able to play, because it's hard out there. When you're traveling, for 3 hours to get to a show, and then they're like, you're playing last, and like all the best bands in town are playing before you. No one's
tough spot.
No one's watching you. They're out of there.
You get rich shit.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. They're loyal to that scene. They're not about to be like. I mean, even if that's the situation, sometimes you still don't turn heads. It's a fight constantly to try to get people to listen.
So
it's very hard business.
Having somebody like Dan, and I'm only using Dan's name repeatedly because I don't have another example, so just throw out another name if you want. But having someone like him then not only approaches, that having the spoken word, but eventually maybe he might also then draw people to your show to see him and then to see you.
Well, yeah, for sure, because...
And you're okay with that?
Well, I would hope so.
Okay.
I mean, the idea is for me to bring people for him, and if he knows people that don't know me, I mean, please bring them to the show and have them be a part of this, because like I said, that's the idea of the show, is to have
Lots
people
of
come in here and be a part of something and
Right.
feel like, this is, I can belong to something and not have to be a weirdo.
Wow,
or
this
not
is
have
so
to dress
different.
like a freak, or not have to have
I know, it's just so
someone
different.
else's views. You can have your
It
own
is.
opinion.
Because I don't look like a
This
rocker,
guy
and you
and-
guys accepted me.
Rick and Dan are polar opposites.
Well, you're pretty,
Well,
that's a
that
different
doesn't
story.
count. But I'm wearing a cowboy shirt.
That's
You know,
cool.
I'm wearing a fancy cowboy shirt and jeans, and nobody kicked me out. Nobody laughed at me.
No.
Nobody said, "Get out of
These guys
here."
are polar opposites, and they're
Literally.
Right.
travel
Accept
around the
everybody,
country
you
and
know.
hang out with each
You
other
just do.
daily.
So this
it's
is,
like,
this is a fascinating venue for people with different ideas
Yes.
to all coexist.
Absolutely.
The
That's
energy
what
is
it's about,
frantic.
yes.
It's
Absolutely.
wonderful. You guys are just kind of, in a way, visionaries. I'm sure you probably don't think of yourselves as being that, but you really are. You're holding true to a vision that people need. Someone's got to keep that light burning in the window, so we all figure out where to get back to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is so great. I'm so glad that we could get you to talk to us, Zakk.
I'm
Do you
glad to.
have a website or something that we can link to for you?
I think it's Facebook.
So they can-
Society of Anarchists.
So they can friend
Spelled
you?
out. Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
on Facebook.
Yeah.
And Rick, we know we can, well, I don't know if we know where we can get a hold of you. How do we
You
get a
can
hold
get
of
a
you?
hold of me under the name.
How do we find
Alright.
your programs?
Under my name, if you add me on Facebook, it's
Uh-huh.
Dick Richards.
Okay.
Like, that's my name. You should see some
All right, now I
profane
know who
picture or whatever, It's
And-
funny. Obviously, I do that. I've had booking companies, Warlord Booking, Funhouse Syndicate, Sharpshooter shows, but I like to mix it up to make, for people to keep thinking, like, all right, people who normally wouldn't come out go, okay, I'm going to give this a shot.
Yeah.
Let's see who it is.
I'm
And then
just
they're like,
curiosity
oh, wow,
now. I want to come see the shows too, because I'm just
I
so
hope so.
curious now about what I'm missing. I've obviously been
It's
missing
even
quite a
better.
bit.
Wow.
The more you come, you get familiar with the songs and the bands and the people, and then
Exactly.
the next thing you know, you're a part of it, and you didn't even have to change your.
I didn't even have to put my
You
cowboy
didn't- you
shirt
didn't-
back in the closet.
Nope, you came as you were, and you found that it didn't matter.
Wow. This has just been great. I'm so glad you
I
could
hope
give us
so.
a couple minutes. Rick, I know you're waiting here to get back on the road. So, Rick from Massachusetts, you're welcome here anytime. And Zakk,
Thank you, miss.
keep it going locally.
I'm gonna try.
Get a hold of us. We'll promote you. And wow, thank you both
Anytime,
so
anytime.
You
so
need some
much.
music? I
Anytime.
can give you some music.
Maybe we can even dot the interview with some music if you'd like to leave
Yeah,
me
I'll
some
give you a
music.
CD and
Be nice.
Okay.
They got some good material.
All right, excellent. Okay, guys,
Absolutely.
I got to sign off now.
All right.
But
Thank
thanks
you,
for
miss.
being here.
Thank you
Thanks
so
very
much.
This is Caitlin Redding. Once again, my thanks to Richard Brophy and Zakk C. of New Society for Anarchy. Thank you, Zakk, for your efforts. Hardcore for Hunger 5. This is the 5th year. This is an annual event in November. Thanks again for sitting down and talking to me. I hope everyone got a new understanding of activism on a local scale and the hardcore scene. Thanks again for listening.
Holy shit, man. No, I'm not, because everyone keeps telling me to cut it, so I'm growing it. Feel like get a haircut. Please, yeah, maybe I'll get a hit. This song goes out to Justin Bieber. Because he's fucking talented, man. Song's called Idiot Breed.